Tell Assalamu alaikum, Abarigani, free the land, Black Power. Well, we are back. Black Liberation Movement Building Power podcast. The Black Liberation Movement Building Power podcast. Power to the people, power to the family, power to the aspirations and the future of the Black nation. Power Sister Miller, power Lieutenant L, power Monique. Good to see you all. We have not done the podcast in a few months of Sunday, but we are back. You know, y'all brother has had a powerful experience, and it's been some powerful transacting things that we should be talking about today. Had some great camaraderie with some brothers, and I think we should talk about that, and we continue to build on that. So we wanted to bring the podcast back and be as regular as possible with our podcast. And Power Lieutenant Malik, good to see you, my brother. Obafemi, good to see you, my brother. Sister Catherine, good to see you. Sister Valerie, down in Brookhaven, Mississippi, power to you. Good to see you. We're gonna ask that everybody share this. Everybody share this podcast. We're gonna try and get some more relevance back to Black liberation. You know, we seeing all different types of hashtags now. We done got away from the core of what it is that we should be working on as a people, which is the liberation, the absolute total liberation of Black people. So we have to be vigilant. We have to each do our due diligence on getting the message out. Social media is it's a powerful mechanism to use to make sure that we get our message out. You know, so we want to utilize our social media platform to combat the machinery of white supremacy and the diametric that work against us as a people, to make sure that we don't get the message of liberation out, so that our people can internalize it and begin to exact that in reality. So share this broadcast. It's gonna be a good one. We got a good topic tonight. You know, the topic tonight is basically Black man. Let's get to the front line. The topic tonight, Black man. Let's get to the front line. And we're gonna have a host of brothers on here that I've selected, you know, to be on here tonight to talk about, you know, Black manhood and what that should look like. And we even had sister that texted me earlier and asked me, is this just for men? Of course not. Of course not. It's not just for men. It's for our women as well, you know, in having this conversation. We need our women. You know, our women, you know, have been front line, you know, in this fight for liberation, always have and always will be until we reach the point that we need to be at. Our women are critically important in the fight for liberation. But, you know, we all know men fight wars, you know, and the race war will be fought by our men. But we most definitely need the preparation of our women not to be oblivious to that. So we're going to have some brothers on here tonight. We need you women to aid us in the conversation and push us in this conversation. But we want to be heard tonight. We got Brother Marcellus Gray out of Greenwood, Mississippi, that's going to join us. The brother has taken the initiative along with Sister Charlotte Carpenter to prepare our next town talk, a Mississippi on the Move town talk. It'll be our 6th or 7th stop, you know, on the Mississippi 10 City Town Talk Tour would be Greenwood, Mississippi. And our brother Marcellus Gray, who has an extensive history of his own, that I want him to come on here and elaborate on why he's so adamant about changing the course of Greenwood, Mississippi. You know, why he's so adamant about that. and how he's seen the Black Liberation Movement moving in the manner that it was moving, with Mississippi on the move in our fight to exact justice of one Carolyn Bryant Dunham. Y'all see her on the back on the wall. We still mad about that. And that brother seen us down there get some action in, and he thought that we should come back and conduct our town talk. So let's get into the program. Let's get into the program. And we got brothers that's supposed to be coming on as well. Right now, I see Marcellus in the back room, but we have brothers like the likes of Baba Kamal Kareem, who is our lead counsel of the Black Liberation Movement. We have brother Nick Belzum that's going to be on tonight, who is the national commander of the El Geronimo Pratt Gun Club. We have brother Rodney Lowe, brother Dove Sack, president of the NAACP over in Holly Springs, Mississippi. We have brother Lieutenant Mark LaSure, who made the monumentous trip to Gulfport, Mississippi with a contingency of brothers, where we went down there and we took care of some business. So it's some topics that we want to talk about, and we want to get these brothers on, and we want to talk about some things that's critical in the nation building process. And we always employ that you all add to the content of the conversation. So with that being said, let's get started. And I want to get started by talking about some things that I jotted down. And we only have brother Marcellus on, Sister Crystal back, man, in the technical aspect. So when the other brothers come, make sure that they, acknowledge and not, I know that they on. But anyway, brother Marcellus, how you doing? Bring brother Marcellus in up front.
I'm blessed.
No
I'm
doubt.
blessed.
No doubt.
No,
No doubt.
no, just glad to be a part of. Ain't no, I'm glad to have the y'all brothers to reach out, to wanna help out with the thing that I have going on here in my hometown. And I feel that we can help each other in an aspect, to teach our black people what we really mean, our work. Cause a lot of black people right now today, here in Greenwood, it's not, it's what's going on today has nothing to do with the past, but it's affecting our future. You feel me? And me being the person that I am, coming from where I came from, I feel like, I ain't gonna say I feel like, I know that I was a part of the problem.
Okay, well let me stop you right there, brother Marcellus, because I think you might have made a misquote, but
All right.
it's cool because that's what we hear. You said that
Yeah.
what's going on today has nothing to do with the past. And
True.
then you go on to say that I may have something to do with what's going on today. Okay, so we got to make sure that we understand that the past is very relevant with what we're dealing with
True.
now. No doubt.
Exactly.
No doubt. That's why we in here, brother. That's why we want to talk tonight. Iron sharpen iron. So what we saying is that our past is very relevant. It's very relevant to where we at today. And that's what Mississippi on the Move is all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. It has a lot to do with how we were brought. We was brought up. What we seen and what happened. Yeah. Sure enough, dealing with Emmett Till being murdered. And they not wanting to serve the warrant. Yeah, they got a lot to do with but the thing that's going on right now, that's two different situations.
Well, we're gonna broaden that conversation, brother. We're gonna
Yeah,
broaden that conversation, and we're gonna be specific to our specific demographics, but we're gonna broaden that conversation up a little bit more so that our people can get a full understanding of what it is that we're trying to convey tonight. So just hang tight right there. I got another brother on here that we're gonna Shaka Zulu. Uh, I'm trying to figure out who that is. Shaka Zulu. Get. I'm thinking that's somebody that's supposed to be on. Sister Crystal, but it going under that name. I think brother Rodney Lowe is trying to get on, the leader of the NAACP over in Holly Springs, Mississippi. That may be him. Good to see you, Elliot Smith, brother Binky. I'm glad that you on tonight to listen in on this conversation. Okay, but we're gonna go on. We're gonna press on with the conversation because what we want to talk about today is the nation building process and the community building process and the aspect of black men stepping forward to the front line. Brother Marcellus, you may or may not be aware of some situations that's taking place across this state. Uh, and I want to bring some people to light on some of the things that have taken place across this state that people should know about. One situation that took place was the execution of our young brother down in Gulfport, Mississippi, by the name of Jaheim McMillan. Now,
Yeah,
Jaheim was a
I know.
15-year-old. Okay, you know about him. Okay, so I'm talking to the consensus right
I'm
now.
I'm up. I'm up on it.
Okay, mute his mic for a second. Mute your mic for 1 second, brother Marcellus.
All right,
Okay, okay. What I want to do, I want to bring people up to speed on the things that continue to happen. Not just that it happened, but it continues to happen in our state. And what measures are we going to exact to make sure that these things don't continue to happen? Some of the measures that have been put in place, a lack of measures that have been put in place, uh, it has not happened. So we want to start talking about things that's critical and making sure that these things don't happen because when we have these state sanctioned killings, because that's what we have, and we having state sanctioned killing. So when an officer is able to pull up on your child unarmed and attack that child fatally, with gunshot that become fatal and take the brother out, at the age of 15, and all of the political infrastructure that backs this type of killing taking place that we running into. This is what we not understanding about this process. Uh, it's a whole infrastructure that we run into when these type things happen in our community. So we talking about things that these police are protected by, like qualified immunity. That's protecting these police officers. And understanding that whole political process that's in place to protect, these police officers after they commit these type of egregious acts against our people. So we want to be able to attack the tenets of this racist white supremacist social order that's causing us so much pain and grief. To look into a mother's eyes that had lost her son to these type things and not be able to respond effectively, as a community. What recourse do we have in play, in our community to actually address these issues, that they stop, that these issues stop. This right here stop happening to us. And we're going to talk about the black on black violence. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the black on black survival tactics that we revert to back into the constraints of the black community. But I want to talk about, starting out, how do we protect the black community? What are some of the things we need to put in place to make sure that we protect the black community? Whether that be on an educational level, economic level, political level, our military level. What are some of the things we need to do to protect and expand the parameters of the black community. I see we got brother Rodney Lowe here, the president of the NAACP over in Holly Springs. We're going to bring him on as well. We got our brother Jahi Ashe, the captain and commander of the Black Youth Leadership Coalition and the Generational Vanguard right here in the Black Liberation Movement. So we want to bring y'all brothers on as we expand the conversation to these brothers. Bring brother Rodney Lowe on and bring brother Jahi Ashe on.
Power and peace, power and peace. Can anybody hear me?
Power and peace, brother Jahi. Brother Rodney Lowe, we can't see you over there.
I know, power and peace, bro. I'm actually at my son's game, so I had to come out to the car. So you'll hear me, but you can't see me.
Oh man.
I
So
know, right?
Yeah. Okay, well,
I didn't want to miss it, so I came on out.
no doubt. So we just talking on the conversation tonight, brother. I'm gonna call you Dove Sack. That's what
That's
we
fine.
always known you as. Is that okay,
That's
brother
fine.
Dove Sack? All right, brother Dove Sack. All respect. So what we talking about is black manhood. You know, calling the black man to the front line of the community.
Right.
You know, and us stepping up and being a part of the process of liberation and making sure that we doing our part, you know, which is a major part in exacting liberation for our people. So, brother Doug,
Yes, sir.
we had an opportunity to go down to Gulfport, Mississippi, and it was a very um, it was a hell of an experience because we were able to get with other brothers, you know, that felt the way that we felt about our communities being attacked, you
Yes, sir.
know, and we wanted to go down there and basically make a statement, you know, that that particular weekend, you know, the black community was going to be heard and it was not going to be impeded by any outside force,
Yes,
you
sir.
know, by any outside force. And this is the same thing that we're trying to do all across the state, you know, but it's we so deficient in our numbers and we so deficient in our cause. So, you know, protecting the sanctity and the sanctuary of the black community is imperative. So what do you think about, you know, black men, you know, stepping up and pushing the parameters of our community out and protecting, you know, our community? What do you think about, you know, that being done?
You talking to me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, I'm saying salam alaikum to everybody. Power and peace. Um, Thanks for having me on.
No doubt.
But here in Holly Springs in Marshall County, brother Pat, I initiated hood reform, and hood reform is a 7-point program to reform the
Okay.
hood. It's easy, especially for the platform of the NAACP. Is no challenge for me to check white folks or check the system that's doing us wrong. But I think it's essential that we start speaking to ourselves in the hood. We got to reform the hood. We sometimes are our biggest threats. So right now, I'm trying to reform our mind frame in our hood. And the 7 points cover everything from, first of all, is religion, a personal connection with God, yourself, not religion, not a church, no affiliation, just a personal connection with God. We got to teach our young men it's okay to be connected with God. Matter of fact, it's essential that you be connected with God. I think sometimes in the community right now, due to our last 50 or 60 years of way our black churches are being ran and preaching to our people, the males are drifting away from that and not realizing you need that connection with God, not with that pastor, not with that church, but with God Himself. So that's a 7-point program. Start off with God, and we cover everything from education, from food to the physical body, to voting, getting involved in the political process, because that's something that's governing us directly on the local level. So we got to be involved with politics. The 7-point program also cover our donating to HBCUs and our nonprofits, even create nonprofits to get something done. We need. It also cover us supporting black businesses and creating new black businesses in the community. Uh, all the way down to hip hop reform. We got to talk to our rappers, our entertainers. They got to reform the content of their lyrics. Me myself being a rapper for my whole life, adult life, I know the power that that hip hop has over our community, over our men. At first, it was just our men in the '90s, but since the 2000s, our women are now even controlled by the hip hop. They call themselves bitches or calling each other bros. When they talk to their men, they saying bro. When the guys talk to the women, they saying bruh. So we need reform all the way across the board. And so that's what I'm pushing here. But I also encourage black men every day in the barbershop. Man, I was just talking to some men before I left the shop. We got this. Black men has got to stand up right now. The narrative for black people is damn near being controlled by our women in the alphabet community.
Mm.
The LGBT, I can't never say it, so I just say alphabet. No disrespect to them.
Right.
But that's who controlling the voice for the black community. Yeah, of course we out here on the forefront. We out here in the trenches at least, uh, fight for liberation and fight for our people. But we're not getting that coverage. You know what I'm saying? So the
Mm-hmm.
coverage, the mass coverage of the voice for black people right now is our women and the LGBTQ community. So we as
Mm-hmm.
black men, we must first of all, we as black heterosexual men must stand up and speak out when it
Mm.
comes to protecting our community, protecting our families. And when I say protect our family, not only from harm, but protection from being destroyed. Right
Mm.
now they pushing this gay lifestyle on us so heavy in the movies, in the TV shows, in the hip hop world, and I never thought it's two things in this world I never thought would be associated with homosexuality, and that's street activity and hip hop. Now they both are being touched and infiltrated with nothing but homosexuality. So
Mm.
those are things I feel that we need to not only those things, but those are some of the things that we have to reform in our community and start pushing in our young black boys. It's okay to be a heterosexual. It's okay to be a man. Because right now they're trying to they sensitize, making us real sensitive, and like you said earlier, trying to demasculate us, have us into these soft men where we won't stand up and protect our women and children. We won't stand up and protect our community. Right now, we just basically trying to prove the stereotypes wrong. The way I look at it, black men are working with their heads down, trying to pay child support, trying to be a good husband, trying to be a good boyfriend, trying to be a good father. We trying so hard to be this man that society wants us to be, instead of being our true natural selves, which is the gods and kings
Mm.
that we really are by nature. Everything they got us doing right now is taking us away from God, taking us away from our true nature. And I'm sure all of us on this podcast understand that. But I'm just sharing those thoughts. Those are the things I'm pushing here in Marshall County, and would love to push wherever I go. I'm always talking hood reform because that's one thing I do believe. Like you were just saying about the police and all those who are predating or I call them parasites who are just sucking the life out of the black community. If we reform ourselves
Mm.
spiritually, mentally, and physically, that's criminal justice reform at its finest. If we stop
Mm.
committing these crimes, if we stop doing the things that we are doing in the hood, I'm not blaming us because I understand our plight, but we got to reform it. We got to
No doubt.
change it. You know,
No
uh,
doubt.
and as for that's just how I'm looking at it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to continue to look for
But
outside entities what they're doing to us, what we're doing to ourselves. Once we
mm-hmm.
once we change the things that we're doing to ourselves or not doing for ourselves, not being independent, not standing on our own, looking for a white man for a job, looking for an Arab for a job. As long as we're doing that, we're crippling it and opening ourselves up for attack. And whether we look at it or not, we are. That's just once again my opinion. We are under attack. We're at war right
Mm-hmm.
now. Black men,
Mm-hmm.
in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, after 4 years of dealing with the NAACP, black men are the only one on the planet being held accountable. They tell us
Mm.
we held accountable for what we do, what we say, and they done got so bold now that they tell us our intent.
Mm.
So, and
That's
this
what's
is
up.
my spiel on it real quick. We have to reform ourselves so we can protect the community. So we can, first of all, we'll know that's our place to protect the community, to protect our women, protect our children. Some of us think now, the way society got pushing us, that we pimps and prayers. So we supposed to pray on our women, pray on a single family, a single mom out there with kids. We praying on the women instead of protecting them. So that's why I'm thinking we need to reform ourselves by any means and all means necessary, and take it from there.
No doubt. Brother Dove Sack, you said a mouthful, brother. You said a mouthful, okay? But I'm gonna tell you something. And I think all of us need to start doing it. We need to start taking notes for real. We don't need to just be having events. I've been to a number of events in the last couple of weeks, and we got all this time in between where
Right.
societal constructs is dealing with us. You know what I'm saying? It's dealing with us, and it begins to sanitize us from the full effect of the events that we experience. And just like going to Gulfport and demonstrating,
Right.
then coming back and going to stop the violence rally, then planning, the Greenwood thing with Brother Marcel is great. And I see my great brother Nick Belzer is on the call. We'll be getting to that brother soon. Good to see you too, Nick. But Nick is backstage. We'll bring him on, and I'll bring my lieutenant Mark on, and brother Jahi is here too. But I want to go back and just point out a few of the things that you said, brother Dove Sack, because you're talking about hood reform over there in Holly Springs, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
And I want brothers to understand what's really taking place here. We talking about Mississippi on the move, okay? And when we talking about Mississippi on the move, it was a determination made by me and a contingency of people here in Mississippi that we're gonna scale it back and we're gonna start dealing with a demographic that we can control. This grand idea of black people simultaneously, the masses of black people changing, that's not realistic to me.
Right.
What's realistic to me is us having a demographic and expressing a model example of that, and then that becoming contagious, and then we expand it and it continue to grow. So my whole focus has been on Mississippi. And so it's people like you that's heading historic organizations like the NAACP, which is by my own study, and a lot of people who actually study has been a compromised organization.
Yes.
That organization that you represent has been very compromised in dealing with the liberation of black people. So I'm sure you're aware of that. And and how we move forward as the NAACP, and being effective. I got a strong thing about being effective in the capacity that we're working in, and being effective with that. But you mentioned religion, Brother Doug.
Yes, sir.
And I'm a historian myself, and I look at the black church. And when we look historically, Brother Marcellus, this is the thing I'm talking about, history, from the broad aspect of what history really is. And Malcolm X told us that history is best qualified to reward your research. It ain't nothing that's happening right now that is not caused by some historical circumstance.
Yes.
So everything has something to do with history. So the church has been way more instrumental in the liberation of black people in the past,
right,
than it is now. So right now, and I'm dealing with churches, all the time. We dealing with the church community because it's the most predominant organization, institution, I meant to say, in the black community. You can barely walk a block in any black community and not come across a church.
Right.
You can barely walk a block, and especially in Mississippi. I live Mount Bayou, Mississippi, and it's more churches. It's a church on every corner in Mount Bayou, Mississippi.
Right.
And I think that'll be reciprocated all across the nation. So, Brother Doug, I know you're at your brother game, but just speaking to that aspect of religion, which is in my assessment has caused a lot of confusion,
right,
to black liberation today. And I know we keep talking about, the internal things that's happening in the black community, but it's a cause for that as well. And I
right,
don't think we that extensive in our conversation when we talking about what's going on inside the black community that's been caused by historical things that we've been attacked systematically on the outside, and now we looking more, on the, with our people being the majority of the problem than the outside constraints that constantly govern and the infiltration of our mind that
Right.
has constantly been the problem. So in religion has played a major role in that. And I want to ask you before we move on, do you think where we at with the religious content that we receiving now, that we can progress, forward as a community, from that aspect of what we're receiving now from the churches?
I don't feel the present way they are preaching and trying to teach us, reach us, not effective. And going forward, the future is going to continue to be detrimental to us. We have to check. That's why I say we got to reform that. And
No doubt.
I'm encouraging the youth to get a personal relationship with God. Talk to Him. You know what I'm saying? They got to build that. It's three things that black folks say all the time, and I use this to try to get them to see what I'm saying. We say something told me, my gut feeling told me, or my first mind. Now everybody know you ain't got but one mind. You know your guts ain't talking to you, and you would rather get a credit to something instead of God. You feel me? So I use those two things to reach our youth and say, hey, when you feel that, feel it. When you say my first mind, that ain't your first mind, that's God. You say my gut told me that's God. When you say something, that's God. So if you give that person, if you strengthen that bond, if you talk to him and feed off that, truly follow that first mind, truly follow your gut instinct, truly follow something. You know what I'm saying? If you truly follow that and build on that and strengthen that bond with him, it reform how you look at religion. And something else I bring up to the elderly people, the older folks. It's amazing to me that when we study our history, when we study the past, that churches was bombed and preachers was lynched and castrated. Why? Because they was teaching liberation with that Bible. They was teaching liberation out of them churches. Now the churches are mega churches with streaming, getting money. Why they not
Come
being
on now.
why they not being burnt down? Why the preachers are superstars instead of being lynched? Because they're not for the people. They're not trying to liberate us. They're not trying to teach us to go to the next level with our thinking with God or our progress through God. So that's how I look at religion right now. So yeah, I don't believe at the present way we are preaching and teaching is beneficial to the black community. We have to reform that. And right now, as you know, we are constantly I'm gonna use the word. We constantly attacking preachers here. We are constantly challenging them. We are constantly asking them to come forward, come to the rally, come to the Stop the Violence rally. And we did that for 2 months promotion, and only probably 4 ministers showed up.
Well,
And
let
we
me say this. Let me say this so we can press. So because we're gonna press because we want to hit more than this.
right,
I solicited for at least 4 preachers to be on this broadcast, and
right,
so they know they will be challenged, at the core,
right,
because is my fervent desire to call the black church out,
right.
because the black church has a lot of responsibility of reform, and I credit my brothers with the Nation of Islam, because what the brothers do with the Nation of Islam, that's a moral reform organization. That's a
Yes,
moral reformation organization. And
yes,
see,
sir.
our churches are deteriorating in moral reform. They deteriorate. So when they get truly called out, that God that y'all keep talking about, because God is a concept to me. You know what I'm saying? It's a concept. That's a concept, that we take and we use it however we choose to use it. It's ultimate. So I'm not making no religious assertion or nothing. I'm just saying all of us got different ideas and concepts about that, but we feel it's the ultimate power. So at the
Right.
end of the day, the churches have to take a frontline stance. That's the name of this podcast tonight. Black men, get to the
Hold
front
on,
line.
bro.
Get no.
Hold
Hold
on,
on.
bro.
Hold on. Hold on 1 second,
Can I
man.
say
My
one?
brother.
Can I
Yeah,
step in
yeah,
one
you
second?
can. But you gotta wait till I get done making my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me make my point, because
All right, go ahead.
by no means are we having a religious debate tonight. We're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? What we're gonna have is a community conversation about black manhood. And what I'm saying is that I have been in the trenches, with dealing with this whole causation of black liberation. And the preachers of the religious leaders have been very they haven't been there. they have not been on the front line to push the black the causation of black people for in a liberation aspect. So that's what I'm saying. And I'm feeling like right now we should be in a position to call the churches out, and the churches should respond to that call. So right now we want to bring on brother Nick Belzer. Got brother Nick on.
Hey, peace, brother Patrick. Can you hear me?
Peace, brother Nick. Good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Same. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you. Can everybody hear him?
Yes,
all right.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Brother Nick was down in Gulfport with us. And brother Mark, Lieutenant Mark LeSure, was also down in Gulfport with us. And brother Jahi Ashe was down in Gulfport with us. And I brought these three people on here for reasons just like this. You know, I want Sister Crystal to put some of the pictures up as we talk about Gulfport, because there's something missing in our community when we're talking about really, you know, being on the front line in the black community. There's something missing. Brother Nick, when we were down there in Gulfport, speaking to the issue of our young brother being killed, when we met there on the front porch with any preachers?
There wasn't no preachers out there. Okay. The only individual that I think is clergy or whatever, he came from Florida.
Brother
absolutely. And the thing with him was, or is that he's a armed guy, self-defense guy, gun guy as well. So his philosophy or the way he goes about things is different than you would normally see these preachers in these churches. So, but if you're asking about, you know, who was there locally, they didn't have none of them preachers there. None of them showed up. None of them came to support. None of them did none of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now let me ask another question, because I'm not just going hard on the church like that. I'm trying to point out where we being deficient in our community, and we talking about black men, and that ain't just the little gangsters that's out there in the street. That ain't just the little brothers that's out there popping each other because they don't know no better. When we talking about black men, we talking about black professionals. We talking about black politicians. We talking about black clergy. We talking about all them black men too. So what I'm saying is, when something pressing the black community, brother Marcellus, brother Dub Sack, and all the other brothers that's on here, we talking about black men coming to the forefront. Not just look Willie them and Malik them that's popping each other. So what I'm saying is, when the black community is in dire straits, I'm looking for them preachers. Now let me ask you something, brother Jahi. When we were down there in Greenwood, Mississippi, speaking to the humanity of black people through the situation with Emmett Till, on the front line with the news cameras, what were the black preachers? I'm pointing this out for a reason, because we need the black preacher to man up. We said the topic of this is black men to the front line. Black men to the front line. What were the black politicians that Sister Matrine, whose son had been killed down in Gulfport, Mississippi, need right now to help her fight the legal system? Where were they at? They were not there. So I want you to speak to that, Jahi. When we was down there, where were those men at, black men? Me, speak up. Speak directly into your mic.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There we go. There we go. Now we cook. There was no clergymen. There was no politicians. There was no community so-called leaders down there to support the family of Jaheem. There was no true manhood down there. until we showed up, until the cadre showed up, and we handled business. So like when Baba Lumumba was saying, we're the clergymen, they supposed to be the first ones out there. We're the community leaders. They supposed to be the first one out there that live down there. See, all of us, we came from outside of Gulfport. We're the leadership within Gulfport, the clergymen, the politicians, the aldermen, the community leaders. Where's the uncles? Where's the fathers of the community? They were nowhere to be found, really, until the cadre showed up, a real warriorhood, real manhood showed up. And this is what we got to be pressed now, that black men stand up in our communities, that black men come in and simplify manhood for our communities. It just can't be different brothers and different organizations coming together and to come down in one accord to exemplify manhood. It gotta be manhood in our communities. And sadly, there's lack of manhood, lack of warriorhood in our communities. So it had to take a cadre of General Pratt Gun Club, Black Liberation Movement, Black Panther Party, and other associates to come down there and simplify true manhood for the family of Jaheim and to represent our brother in true manhood form. That you're not going to keep on doing this and think there's not going to be response in our territory. Mississippi is our territory, and we gave them, how you say, and everybody can recall, we ain't see no cops down there in Gulfport. We ain't
Mm-hmm.
seen none right around. We ain't seen
Right.
none circle around because they knew that manhood was true
And let
manhood here.
let me say this because thank you for that, Jahi. And let me say this, and Nick, I want you to respond to this. What I seen happen in Greenwood actually changed, not changed. It validated something I've been feeling inside of me for a long time. You know, we want to stop everything that's going on inside our community. You know, we want to do that. We most definitely do that, and I'm one that most definitely want that to happen. But one thing that happened in Gulfport was that when we, you know, and showed our teeth, I noticed that our community inside showed a propensity to follow our leadership as well. Because when we was in those back alleys with those brothers who were selling that dope, that's what they were doing. They were selling that dope, okay? And when we went in them back alleys, brother Mark, you seen what happened. The brothers in the back alleys got right. They
Yes,
got right.
sir.
They fell up under our command when we told them what our presence there was all about. We was there to protect the black community. They seen to what extreme we was there to protect the black community. We knew they were selling dope, and they put that whole process on hold.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Did
sir.
not that whole process go on hold,
It
brother
did.
Mark?
It did, Commander. It did, Commander. I saw with my own eyes when they seen us do what we do. It took it moved them to. At first, they had to see what was going on, and when they
Mm-hmm.
seen that demonstration of Black Power, they couldn't believe it, man. They wanted to assist. They wanted to
Mm-hmm.
aid and assist right after they seen it.
Okay.
And I see what the a lot of I think a lot of us don't know. Well, down there they have never seen a demonstration of power of black unity in that form, and
Mm-hmm.
nowhere else around here.
Mm-hmm.
And when Nick and the Geronimo Pratt Gun Club come through, and the Black Liberation Movement and the Black Panther Party, and show the unity, and a lot of them guys who gang banging and ain't ever had a example to go by, I think that right there show them something, another way. And 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 I feel that we need to do that more often. It's just a demonstration to see it with your eyes. Um, even when we went to the police department, and we was playing the NWA song, "Fuck the Police," on the doorstep of the police department. I mean, if that don't that enhance my feeling of strength and love for my brother like 1,000 times. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm,
So I can imagine what um we got some guys down there I know that'll come out and do something if they seen it, you know.
mm-hmm,
And it's just I think we got to be more consistent and grind it out like we doing it, and
mm-hmm.
more people will magnetize to the movement.
Right. So what I'm saying, and brother Nick, you can respond. What I'm saying is that practical. I'm talking about black men getting tired of bullshit taking place in our community. Okay, when we step there to expand the parameters of the black community, because white supremacy constricts the black community in this controlled little circle, where we are constricted. But we came and we pushed the parameters back. We said, no, today we're going to control the narrative. Okay, today we're going to express our dissent, not just to the things that's going on inside our hood, the things that are being perpetrated on our hood, and leaving the grief of mothers. When you got these people who we have to pray about to stop doing this. No, it wasn't about the praying. It was about showing you that you're not going to continue to do this. So when we begin to push back with force, we gain the respect of the little guy that popping the guns in the community. So now we go right to them and we say, look, get out of this alley. We got some real business going on. And then they come to us. I'm talking to them. I'm talking to them. And they say, oh, that's what y'all got going on. Exactly. So right now, your operation don't, it's null and void because we controlling this. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So if that was constant in the community, we eradicate the guns that's going off against each other because we have showed the force necessary to protect our community from the outside in. So speak to that, brother Nick.
Well, I think, and yourself and Brother Mark, y'all said a lot. And I think, so I think two things happens. By us coming down there and showing an armed resistance to the slave patrollers, that sends a message out. And then when you have these brothers that selling that dope, seeing us unapologetic about our people, that makes them take a step back because, most people are in fear of the slave patrol. But then when you got an armed contingency that's saying, hey, if this is what they want to do, we're here for it. And they don't see black men talk like that. It blows their mind to see black men standing against the slave patrol. So psychologically, they're saying if they'll do that to them, I already know what they'll do to us if
Mm-hmm.
we don't stand down. So I think it works hand in hand where we finally control our own neighborhoods to the point where we keep the slave patrol out and then we get the dope boys to move that dope out of the community. If you're going to sell it, go over there to them Europeans and sell it over there. Don't sell
Mm-hmm.
it to your own people. See, because them other ethnic groups, they don't poison their communities like we do. Them Italians, they don't poison Italian communities. The Chinese or the Asians, they don't poison their communities. The Jew, no, none of these groups do this. The Italians, none of them, but we do, and we have to put a
Mm-hmm.
stop to that. Um, but you're absolutely right. When they seen us there in the community that night, hey, they don't, they didn't want no parts of that, and they knew they didn't. They seen all these vehicles pulling up. They seen this armed contingency getting out, sitting on different streets, protecting the community. That was something they couldn't even afford uh, to even get into a confrontation with us. So that made them stand down. But like you were saying, brother Patrick, uh, these images have to be seen um, throughout our community, throughout the country. This is two times in about 5 months that we've been to Mississippi and shut police stations down. I mean, police stations have literally locked their doors and closed. One in Brookhaven and now in Gulfport. So this shows you what we have the ability to do, and we're doing it with small numbers. Imagine if we can get more brothers on code. Imagine we can get more brothers to stand up. What would that look like? There's nothing that we couldn't do if we can start getting more of these brothers to activate, to stand up and understand, again, what Black Power really looks like. Not just some slogan that's thrown out there, but actually empowering Black people to
Mm-hmm.
have control of their destiny. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think by us doing these things and Black people seeing this will encourage them um, to want to join the rank and file and do better because excuse me, if Gulfport, Mississippi only has 170, and I did the numbers, I'm a gun guy, but I look at numbers. If Gulfport, Mississippi only has 176 slave patrollers, and when you do the math based on the demographics and the population of Gulfport, and you have about 6,000 able-bodied Black men in Gulfport, see, it don't jive. If you got 176 slave patrollers, but 6,000 able-bodied men, there's no way Jaheim McMillan should be killed. There's no way we leave and 2 days later the Gulfport Slave Patrol beat up another Black man. That shouldn't happen. 176 cannot stop 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
So these brothers need to. That's a plantational mentality. That's a plantational Negro to believe that they have a fraction of the numbers that you all have, but yet they can still control you like that. That's a plantational Negro. That's a plantational mentality that these brothers out there have, and we
Mm-hmm.
have to break them of that bondage.
No doubt. And it's also, brother Nick, thank you for that, a plantational mentality. I like that. Plantational mentality that we kill each other. See, that's why we can't disavow history and cause and effect. Because when we do that, we don't point out the original culprit that we always at war with. So now it seems as though we are our own worst enemy because the enemy got so much power that we don't even see that power anymore. So when we attack, but we know it's there. We know that power is there. But one more thing I wanted to say about Gulfport before we move on, just to solidify a point that I'm making. I know you have to go Dub Sack because your son is playing ball, but I want you to understand this and hear this too. The exemplification of Black manhood is an act of God. That
Yes.
is an act of God when we exemplify this type of manhood that have been extracted from us throughout history. This manhood, the whole process is an emasculation process. So when we exemplify this type of manhood toward a system that have basically taken God from us and presented God in whatever capacity that they choose to present God, then you showing God right there. That's why I say God is a concept. It depends on what concept you're gonna make God. Okay, so we were making God a reality in Gulfport, and this is what I want to glean as well. Brother Nick, Brother Mark, Brother Malik, these brothers were down there in Gulfport with us. We were in a room of about 60 people, and four of those mothers had suffered the same fate. It wasn't little Willie and little Malik now down the street that killed their son. It was white police officers who killed their son. Okay, nobody really know about this because this stuff is it become normal now, just as normal as we killing each other every day in our hood. So when we came into that room, Brother Mark can confirm this, Brother Nick can confirm it, Jahi can confirm it, some brothers that's on this link can confirm this. When we came into that room of Black mothers who had their heads dropped down, no recourse, that had funeral for their son. When Black men came into that room with a different mindset, with a different determination, because I think we came into that room because we wanted to go to Miss Katrina Mateen's home. And if the police was to continue to intimidate her, we were going to go and we were going to make sure that the police did not do that. That's how we ran into these brothers in the alley and made sure that they weren't doing what they doing while we trying to protect our community. So you ain't finna sell no dope tonight. Ain't nobody finna get killed on the dope track tonight. But what I'm trying to say, in that room, we raised Black women heads up. I watched them I'm talking about black women who had lost their sons with no recourse. No preacher can preach this grief away. No politician, black politician in Gulfport, Mississippi, come to their aid because they scared of the white supremacist social construct and what it would mean to them. But when Nick Velzel talked, when Hawk Newsom talked, when Brother Lumumba talked, their heads raised up. They felt that. And when we were outside, Brother Nick, Brother Mark, y'all heard it. The young lady stepped out there and she said, you know something? She said, I have never heard black men talk like that. I'm
Yes.
going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. We talking about God. She said, I have never heard black men talk like that. She ain't never been to church. Just asking the question. But she ain't never been to church? Of course she
Mm.
had. Of course she been to church. She ain't never been to city hall meeting. See what she heard was black men speaking to the humanity of her son. Black men standing up and saying, this is not gonna happen. No more. As long as we here, it's not gonna happen. Who is the best protector of the black woman? The black man.
Black man.
Yes,
The
sir.
black man. So this is the type manhood that we talking about. You know, cause I ain't got a bigger beef with Lil Willie now than I got with Reverend. I don't have a bigger beef with misguided youth than I have with misguided politicians. You see what I'm saying? It seems like they got more of burdens that should be levied on their shoulders than the ones that's suffering the reciprocal effects of this system that we're dealing with. We got it. And I think, if we deal like men with this, we'll come to that realization and that understanding. So I just wanted to say that because that when the first time that a black woman come to me, Brother Nick, Brother Mark, Brother Jahi, everybody listen, that ain't the first time that a black woman that told me I ain't never heard nobody talk like that. So what is that? Is that not God? Is
Sir,
that not God?
that's God.
All right
Yes,
then.
sir.
That's
All right
Absolutely.
then. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
we got to be that exemplification. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Brother Nick, and that's why I come. I'm so glad. That we are united. In this cause and pushing forward. I'm so glad. That we picked you. And Brother Mark, I think you can speak to this experience. And we're gonna give you a moment, and we're gonna come back to you, Brother Marcellus. We ain't forgot about you, but I want to come back to Brother Mark and just tell us about how you felt, because that Gulfport experience, and I want Crystal to put up a few more pictures if you can. That Gulfport experience was a transformative experience, for us all.
Yes,
Brother Mark.
sir. Well, people know me as being angry, and I can't help but to be angry that other black men don't see what I see and feel how I feel about the situation. And when I seen brother Nick and Hawk come through and represent it like they did, and the warrior spirit, that the energy, that's is like, man, these are brothers I've been needing to link up with for the I'm talking about the whole time. Like, I can't even explain how it lit the fire up in my body, and I want to bring this fire right back home and light up somebody else's fire. That's all I can,
Mm,
the best way I can explain it, because it's time out for the talking with these crackers, and the system don't give a damn. So it's time for a demonstration of power, and it's no better. It can't be demonstrated no better than it was then, right
mm,
there. How brother
mm,
Nick and brother Hawk and how we represented down there, it just need to be demonstrated every day.
mm, mm.
And
And
and and that made me feel. It made me feel like that was my place. Like, this is what I supposed to do as a man.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
this
yeah.
that strength. Yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir.
And let me just take it right there, Mark, because we want to put. You just said something key. You said this should be demonstrated every day. Sister Crystal, you can put that picture up of the brother standing outside of the look like a barber shop or something like that. Put that picture up. Okay. Brother Nick, brother Jahi, brother Mark. This picture right here spoke to me the other day. That was brother Ghazi, General Ghazi, brother Nick, that put this picture up, and it was captioned, what if this was a reality? He said something like that. And what you got in that picture is an exemplification of black men that represent different, you know, aspects of the community. And they standing outside of this place, with Black Peace Stone posted out there, and it looked like a restaurant. That's what it is. But I immediately put that picture into our group that we have, our brothers, and I said, what does this picture say to y'all? And what how did what is this saying? And Brother Mark said, this is something that has to exist every day. And my thing was, this right here really don't exist. It has to be built. We got
Right.
to build communities like this. It has to be built. So that's the thing, Brother Mark. We have to build these communities, bro. You know,
Uh,
and we want. Yeah, go ahead.
Brother Patrick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, go ahead, bro.
just what you're saying kind of speaks on. I'm monitoring something at the same time. I got some people who went and spoke tonight at the school board meeting for you all that have been tracking that white supremacist teacher who told that those black boys in
I,
that classroom.
I saw that this morning.
Okay, so that was out here. And so I had members, they actually went up to the middle school yesterday to meet
Mm-hmm.
with the principal. And then tonight they went to the school board meeting. But I'm trying to be as brief as I can explain it to you. Now, last year we had a Republican here in the state of Texas, Republican senator who they got a law passed that said if you teach in these schools, because of this whole CRT thing, if you teach in these schools that one race is superior to another or put down another one, that's a criminal offense. And so now this
Mm-hmm.
law has
Mm-hmm.
backfired on this teacher. And what we're trying to do, because they said they fired him, so now we're trying to push this Republican senator and say, you passed this law, this is illegal. We want to prosecute this guy. And based on the law that you passed, see, we have to learn how to use their laws against them and use it to our advantage. And so why am I bringing that up? Because you're showing this picture. And let me tell you what it makes me think. It makes me believe that integration was a failed experiment because you got these white teachers in these classrooms telling these black boys that they're superior. So imagine he's just the only one who's been caught doing this.
That's
These
right.
school systems
Yes,
are
sir.
injected with white supremacy. This is why they try to say our kids are, slow or our kids aren't learning at the same levels. It's because they're not trying to teach them at the same levels. And so
Mm-hmm.
there's this whole concept about white ice is colder than black ice, believing
Mm-hmm.
that what's in the white community is better than what's in the black
No doubt.
community. But that's a lie. That's a myth. And what we have to get back to, we have to get back to the Greenwoods. We have to, to the Black Wall Streets. We have to get back to the Rosewoods. We have to get back um, to the Chicago South Side. It's like we have to get back to these concepts where we build our own communities and make
Right.
sure that the black dollar circulates within our own community. See, all these foreigners that come in and inject themselves into our community, all we have to do is stop spending there. And then we buy the businesses and we control what goes on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but what we
Mm-hmm.
can't have is continuations of you know white supremacy being forced upon our kids and then forcing us to assimilate in a white culture. So you got all these other cultures that come over here and try to assimilate, but we
Mm-hmm.
aren't assimilating. We're a resilient people. We're callous, but in a good way, where we say we don't want no parts of that, and we have to
Mm-hmm.
continue um, to look at that and build that way. Yeah, we can do business, but we have to be getting money as well. I spoke back in September about how illegal immigration hurts Black America, how it suppresses the wages, and how we get locked out of a lot of labor jobs. There's data that supports that. I mean, you can just drive around and there's proof that supports that. What are we going to start saying? We were the original laborers of this nation. So when are we going to start taking those jobs back? There's just so much that we should be doing as a people. I mean, one person or one organization or two or three organizations can't can't do it all. We can just focus on our small space. But again, it goes back to the images, seeing Black men, seeing Black power, and hoping that it becomes infectious to the point where it spreads like wildfire throughout the country. So when I see that picture, it makes me think about how integration actually destroyed the Black community, and it didn't
Mm,
it didn't help but strengthen us. You got a few
Yes, sir.
Negroes who get a few dollars, but our people overall are suffering due to integration.
no doubt, no doubt. And that's right, brother Nick. And I'm so glad to see the involvement of the El Geronimo Pratt Gun Club into civic things. See, people just think we talking about toting guns. No, it's more than that. It's about the civic aspects of this too. So you got people involved with your gun club, and then we got people like Valerie Smith on here, who heading up the Panther Party in Brookhaven. And I wanted to have more women on here that involved in organizations that so that we can glean the civic aspects of this. You talk to economics. You very astute on the economic aspects. We talking about an educational process. You know what I'm saying? We talking about all these socio biological economic aspects while we practicing their law against them, the Second Amendment. We actually implement that on our behalf. So we're gonna take 1 minute, brother Nick, and we want you to speak to the Second Amendment, and speak to what that means for Black people and what we can be doing and how we utilize that, to help us bolster, the cause of liberation.
Absolutely, I think for people who may not know, one of the original laws passed in the colonies before it was even a union was that blacks, mixed race, mulattoes, so on and so forth, couldn't own weapons, any type of weapons. And this was in the 1700s. Virginia, it was like 1741. Virginia passed that law. You fast forward, and then finally blacks are able to defend themselves. Well, it's critical because these tools have been used to oppress and suppress us for hundreds of years, and now we have the ability to push back with an armed resistance or armed demonstration. A lot of 60s organizations believed in the Second Amendment. They believed in self-defense, which actually preserved life. So I tell people, if you all, who studied Minister Malcolm, he had a speech called "The Ballot and the Bullet." But I believe in a modern day version called the pen and the pistol, which
Hmm.
means we will exercise our First Amendment rights and use their laws and legislation to work on our behalf. But in the event that you try to infringe on our First Amendment or us trying to do things within the construct um, of the laws that are put in place, then we have the Second Amendment to make sure that we're able to exercise those rights. So the Second Amendment for us is the one thing that keeps people honest, whether it's the slave patrol, whether it's these renegade organizations that try to do us harm, so on and so forth, and just to regulate and be able to defend our community. So the Second Amendment for us uh, is a powerful tool, again, which is written in their Constitution. I'm not going to say our Constitution because when they wrote it, our ancestors were slaves, so it wasn't meant for us. But now that we have the ability to tap into that, then I believe wholeheartedly that we should use it in the defense of our people.
No doubt,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
no doubt. And I commend you, brother Nick, for doing an excellent job at showing us how that's done, without a doubt, brother. So that most definitely is something that we should understand, as we move forward, with this community and nation building process that that we have embarked upon. And I think Mississippi is a very special place because we have hundreds of black townships that are primed and ready for this type of thing to take place. I mean, it's just natural. I look at places like Greenwood, Mississippi, Holly Springs, Mississippi, Indianola, Mississippi, Natchez, Mississippi. All these places that we have been, these are places that's prime, for this type of civic aspect of our development, to show this type of model example of black liberation and black pride, where we can actually, I mean, Brother Nick, you're talking about integration affecting us. These are places we talking about that's more than 75% black. We already governing these places. And that's one of the things I'm trying to glean to my brother Marcellus Gray, and what he's doing, the tremendous work that he's doing right there in Greenwood, is that we don't just have a problem where we shooting each other in the street. We having a capitulated leadership problem. We having a misappropriation of tax money problem. We having a whole educational problem where we not reinforcing and putting the right things in our children's mind to want to better their own community. That's an assassination attempt right there. When we're not even teaching our children to cultivate at home. They leaving here and going to other places. So we have to be able to talk to all of that, speak to all of that, while we talking about as well becoming better men. I'm sitting here right now with True Essence right in my arm. When she wake up, she gonna come right to dad. And I was talking to a sister today, Brother Marcella, Sister Charlotte. She said, I wish all black men would treat their daughters the way that you treat your daughter. And I said, you know what, Sister Charlotte? I don't know a black man that don't want to do that. I really don't. I don't know a black man that don't want to treat his daughter the way that I do. But every black man don't have the capabilities of doing that. And when we look at all the castrations that we deal with, all the diametric opposition that black men have to deal with on a daily basis. Brother Malik, who is an herbalist, he had to send me herbal high blood pressure pills today, Brother Nick. Mom, you got high blood pressure. Uh, RV wanted to take half my high blood pressure herb pill. I'm not taking he wanted to take half of them today. But what I'm saying, we wake up with diametric opposition. We wake up fighting against social constructs. We wake up with that. I'd be surprised if there ain't a high percentage than 75% of black men that actually suffer hypertension and high blood pressure. Some of our best, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, was a victim of high blood pressure, hypertension. So we dealing with that every day. But what I'm speaking to is the aspect of fatherhood. This young lady know where to come. When she feel afraid, she come to her father. And what I'm simply saying to black women and to the world, black men are not born wanting to kill each other. We not born not wanting to take care of our children. That that narrative that got out there, and it's absolutely in my assessment, absolutely untrue. And so it's about now us stepping up to the front line. It ain't just the front line with the guns, it's to the front line of our community, being men, being fathers, being sons, staying out of the criminal justice system and all these different things that's affecting us so that we can be worthy people in our community. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what this conversation is about. How do we continue to continue to congeal, as black men and black women? We need y'all to keep pushing us in our back. Keep telling us, hey, look, go ahead, go ahead. I always had a situation, issue with black women not teaching their black sons to rule, not just get a job. Why don't you tell them to go get your piece of this world? Why you don't own that company? Why your mother not telling you to go and own your company? Go and cultivate the land. Go and control certain things because we victims of racism, white supremacy. Your mother, your wife, your girlfriend think the white man is the man too. She think he's the man too. You know? So we have to exemplify that manhood is what I'm saying. And I'm so glad, to be connected with brothers like all of y'all that's on this call. I'm so glad to be a cause of the process of black liberation taking place. I'm so glad to be a visionary in Mississippi on the move. They like, what you talking about? Man, black folks in Mississippi ain't gonna do nothing. I beg to differ.
Yes,
Yeah.
I
sir.
beg to differ. Now it's about proving it and showing it. So it's always right here. Brother Nick, you told me something, brother. And I want to share it with everybody. I got upset down there in Gulfport. I see you, brother Malik. Thank you for coming on. I got upset down there in Gulfport, Mississippi, because they didn't let me speak. They didn't let me speak, and I walked out in the rain, and you was on patrol. I mean, you was on duty out there, and you saw me visibly upset. You saw me visibly upset, and I told you, I said, God damn it, they ain't give me that mic. I want to talk. They ain't give me the mic. I wanted to talk. And you said, Brother Patrick, I'm pretty sure, they want me to have a word or two, but I'm gonna give that time to you. And you stayed on patrol. And I said, Brother Nick, I ain't gonna even worry about it. I said, it's okay, Brother Kamal, Baba Kamal talk. I'm gonna calm down. And we parted from each other. But you called me back. You said, hey, Brother Pat. I said, hey man, come here. And you looked me in my eye and you said, I love you, brother. That's what you said.
Yeah.
And I looked you in your eye. I said, I love you too, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we got to be able to do. And I don't think a man that came on down to that trip that got a chance to have that camaraderie that's right here couldn't say that to each other when we left.
Yeah.
You know, couldn't say that truly to each other when we left. That we love each other and
Yes.
we willing to
Yes,
stand
sir.
toe to toe, back to back with each other and resurrect our communities and build our nation. So this is something that got to be what you call it continue. We gotta continue to multiply upon this and continue to swell the ranks, create a groundswell with what's taking place here, man. I really appreciate y'all, from my heart. It gives me another reason to get up every day and know that I got brothers like y'all, to talk to communicate with, and we in this fight together. So, there go Brother Malik. Brother Malik, we want to hear from you. And we're going to get ready to close this thing out if don't nobody else have anything.
Peace and power, brothers. Can y'all hear me?
Peace
Yes,
and
sir.
power.
Peace and power. Peace.
Yeah, I just want to veggie back. I don't eat pork, so I just want to veggie back on some of what I've heard tonight. Uh, Mark, he articulated pretty much my sentiments as far as like just the show of unity and power that I experienced in Gulfport, man. I felt like I was 10 feet tall, man, when I stood with y'all brothers.
Yes,
And
sir.
and to be honest with you, had mentally prepared myself to die, you know, because man, it's just a different feeling. Something I never experienced before. Just like a lot of those people that showed their gratitude to us. I was really blown away by what I had experienced, standing with brothers who stood in the face as you say, the slave patrol and white supremacy, man. I had been talking about it for years, but had never met a band of brothers such as y'all who was doing it, and I like Mark said, that's something that needs to be prevalent. That's something that needs to take place every day. And as men who live in these neighborhoods where these young brothers are down on the corner, we shouldn't shy away from the chance to go down and engage with those young brothers. You know what I'm saying? Stand out there and talk to them on their turf, where they feel comfortable at. See, a lot of time the preachers want them to come to church. A lot of time the brothers ain't coming to church. You had to go out there and meet them where they at. That's one thing I dig about the Nation of Islam. And when I was studying for those 22 years, they were soldiers, man, and the moral aspect of it. that one of I think that was you, Patrick, mentioned the moral reform. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to L about that. You could tell brothers who have been affiliated with Nation of Islam, Moorish Science Temple, and the 5%ers. It's a moral code. You know what I'm saying? It's principles that, and I recognize that, man, standing out there with y'all in Gulfport. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the brothers that were standing out there had those ties, and they tend to move different. The seriousness of y'all brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? The no nonsense, man. That's something I've been looking for a long, just like Mark say, for a long time. For a long time. That's why I told you, Nick, today in that text, man, we bonded for life behind that. Ain't no brother could have came to me and told me, man, look here, we going down here do an armed contingency. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen. We going to jail? We gonna die? You know, that's why I kind of called you beforehand and wanted to, kind of talk.
Yeah.
But man, that's something, bro. Like I said, my life changed after that.
Yes,
I made
sir.
I made a post today. It was a rant post, but man, my life has changed after that, bro. For real. I can't go back to being who I was before we went to Gulfport. So brother, I'm honored. Hear me when I say I'm honored to know y'all, man, to stand with y'all. Another thing too, Nick, I hear you sniffling. I got herbs for them sniffles now. I can get them in the mail as soon as I get home. I'm in the truck now. I'm in the 18-wheeler. I just came out of Atlanta, but I can get you going when I get back tomorrow. But back to the topic, man. Like I said, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to future events, future standoffs. Man, that stakeout, man, that was surreal. That
Yes,
was
sir.
surreal, bro. I
Yes,
felt
sir.
like I was in a damn movie. So, man, y'all just don't. I left Gulfport, bro, feeling like a giant. When I got home and told my wife, when I was telling my wife the turn of events that happened down there, you should have seen, man, her mouth hit the floor and her eyes, she was just in awe. And I've been married to her. It'll be 18 years on the 29th of this month. And I can't say I ever got that look before. So that's something that black women, not just those women down there in Gulfport, but black women been waiting on us for a long time, man, for a long time. And it made me feel good to be a part of that. Not only to be a part of it, but to know that it's more than possible. It's doable in Greenville. You know what I'm saying? And like what's the brother from Greenwood, Marcel, like he said, they have a youth, quote unquote, black on black crime problem, a violence problem, and we have that in Greenville too. But as Patrick said, you have to look at the root of these problems. See,
Right.
the one thing I know about the Nation of Islam, they taught us to look at the root of that tree. So you can't see the root. The root is normally hidden, obscured. You have to examine the root to see where we got to today. And the root is that pale face peckerwood. And I'm
Yes,
done. I
sir.
appreciate y'all for letting me have my say.
No doubt.
Yes, sir.
Now, I think one of the greatest transformations that we experience in this society that men have. I see Brother Tadar Muhammad on here. Thank you, Brother Tadar, for coming on tonight. Longtime friend, associate, Brother Tadar Muhammad, real soldier in the Nation of Islam. And we keep mentioning the Nation of Islam because of his discipline and his moral reform program. Because if the morality of the black man don't change, Brother Marcellus. That's what we're dealing with out there with our brothers out there popping each other. It's a moral character, it's a moral backbone that we have to exemplify. One of my greatest teachers, Brother Shabaka Afrika, I talked with him today. He said, Patrick, he said, we're going to be killed, discriminated against, exploited, all these different things until we develop the moral character to stand up for our own humanity. I don't care how many times you go to church. That don't mean you more. That just mean you go to church. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that it's a moral character that got to be erected in the black man. And see, what takes place in that military process, when our brothers enlist in the military, I done seen some of the worst brothers in the street early. You know, I'm thinking about people like D. Earl, Brother Mark, you know, that took the military course. These brothers come back different men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about they different because they experience a disciplinary process and they have been indoctrinated with a mindset to stand up for something and to have pride about something. And it's a whole experience. Nick, you can speak to it better than me, but that military process, that's what we experienced in Gulfport. We had a commander that called us on our manhood and said, who gonna stand for the black community? And that's what happened. So we had a military experience. I hear them coming back from war all the time. People that went to war, you know, together. They always banded as brothers because they genuinely put their life on the line together. See, and that's what I'm saying when we out there. You know, when we at war, and we know we at war. We keep saying, I see it all on social media. We at war, we at war. Okay, well, when we at war, I don't see the clergy at war with me. They ain't standing toe to toe with me. I don't see the black professional out there that's willing to compromise his job to stand for the black community. I don't see the black politician that's gonna have an issue with the white politician if he stand up for the black community. I don't see that. I don't see that. I'm just telling you what's happening in real time when you're out there really fighting the war. So when you militarize yourself and you say I'm going to war, what you tell a brother Nick? You said put that index card.
Yeah, but put your next of kin on that white index card. Put it in your back left pocket because something happened. We'll be contacting your next of kin.
So when we did that, Malik, you were basically saying I might not come back home, right? You might not come back home, right? I kissed this baby before I left. I went to my mother. I said, you know what? We've been fussing and arguing at each other for a while, but guess what? I love you, you know, because I knew what I was about to go do. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't finna go preach no sermon. I was gonna go stand on behalf of black life and the humanity of black people to the ultimate extreme, which is to give my own life, you know, for the humanity of my people. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't know Katrina Matrine outside the fact that she had lost her son. That's it. But that was enough for me
Yes, sir.
because that's a long line. That ain't just no one event. That's a long succession of events. You know, we can go all the way back to George Stinnett Jr., Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Wright. Keep on going. Keep on going. See? So that's what we saying. We militarize our cause and we band it as brothers. And that's why we on this call right now. Because we have to band as brothers all across this nation, you know, and express a humanity all across this nation. And Mississippi on the move, Marcellus, you know, we're gonna eradicate the problem in Greenwood, Mississippi, when black men take the fight to our oppressors, and our oppressors can be black. Ain't no doubt about it. Half of them politicians that sit down there in Greenwood, Mississippi, they black skin, but they mind is white.
Right.
I was talking to Charlotte about that today. We got to get and make them understand that
Man,
Marcellus. Go ahead, Marcellus.
hey, I feel. When I say I feel you, I feel you.
Yes, sir.
But that the thing is, bro, that ain't our problem around here.
Okay.
The problem we
All right.
got it with our own people.
Understood.
We got to
That's
wake these people up and,
yes, sir.
and, and get them to realize what they listen. Just feel me 1 second. You know, I listen to the whole podcast, the whole wide. You know, I understand. I feel y'all. Hey, I'm on it. No, I'm telling you where I come from. No, this is what I've been doing. You feel me? I done been out there. I've been one of them ones out there, lost, shooting them pistols. I killed a couple niggas, and I started the problem. Just like I told you earlier, I started the problem. It's up to me to fix it. You feel me? What I'm looking for is a solution to the problem. I ain't trying to call nobody out. I ain't trying to no challenge nobody. No, the people I'm trying to challenge is the black people, to wake them up, for them to realize what they are doing to their selves. It's not the white people that we got to worry about, the white supremacists, the slave keep. We ain't worried about them. It's ourselves around here in Greenwood. This is the problem. I don't know what problem that lies nowhere else outside of Greenwood. I hear about what goes on in the news and all that. I feel that. I'm down for that. I ain't right now. I'm trying to keep my black people from killing each other. I ain't you can call these pastors out. You can call these city councilmen out. But the first people you got to call out is the black people. You feel me? Around here. Cause these are the ones that ain't woke up. They ain't realizing that they're real. Right now, here in Greenwood, just like I told Sister Charlotte, ain't nobody safe around here. You could be in the bank, you could be in the church, you could be in you can be in the food line getting something to eat. This how it going down around here. Ain't no white. We ain't got no problem with no police or nothing like that. It's black on black around here.
Mm-hmm.
No, we got to educate these people on what they worth. They don't know this. They think they thinking that, hey, I can just go kill me a nigga be old with, excuse my language, but that's how they feeling.
Mm-hmm.
These youngsters, I ain't gonna say just youngsters. Mm-hmm. These guys around here are looking for a body.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to get their minds off of that. They ain't realizing the extent that they are putting their life in. Because more bodies, get what they are considered now, serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
In a little small town such as Greenwood. And they ain't killing, it ain't no white killing no blacks, it's black killing black. The thing that going on around here.
No doubt.
It started with my family. You feel me? My family started this.
Okay. So this what we're gonna do, brother.
I ain't
Marcellus.
got a lot.
Brother Marcellus, this is what I'm saying, brother. I hear you very much. I hear you very well. So, and I understand. We not saying that the black on black situation is not a problem. Most definitely, we know that it's a problem. So, what we're gonna do? You call for this town talk, right? You call? Did you not call? You call for this town talk. You want me to be there to moderate the town talk along with you, Charlie, right?
Now, listen. Now, I'm gonna tell you, this is how it was brought to me. Sister Charlie came to me, and she wanted to help out, and she came up with the town hall meeting, and she included me. She wanted to help.
Okay.
My thought of the town hall meeting is, we getting the black people together, and we sitting down and we trying to find a solution to the problem that's going on here.
Right. So what I'm telling you,
I ain't. Listen, I understand where you coming from, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. We got to get the black people around here woke.
Okay.
It ain't with the politician and the clergyman. Yeah, true. They got a lot to do with it.
Brother, listen. I don't want to destroy the continuity of this conversation because it seems like we're not doing that. So what I'm saying is that Okay, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying when we get to the town talk, that's what we're gonna address. We inviting the
All right.
politicians, we inviting the clergy. That's what we're gonna address. Don't think that I'm coming down there to have some type of rant with people that you deem that's not the problem. I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand how black Greenwood is. I understand who we govern by. I understand how easy it is to point the finger of blame on us. We are to blame. So we're gonna address that at the town talk. This is my podcast. This is the Black Liberation Movement podcast that I invited you to have a conversation because we have in Mississippi on the move in Greenwood, Mississippi. We coming to address your issue, brother. Okay, we coming to address your issue, and those people that you invite now, I get the list. Okay, because I want to be astute on who it is that's coming so that I can moderate it properly. You invited the mayor out. Okay, you inviting the clergy out. You inviting the politicians out. I don't know if they're gonna be there or not. That's y'all job to invite them. So when they get there, we're gonna speak to the black on black issue, and we want to have them respond to the black on black issue. So it is all our problem. That is all our problem. And see, we just know from a black liberation standpoint that our problem is systemic, it's historic, and it's traditional. And it don't just start in our community. That's what we saying. I see all the comments that have been made tonight. I thank everybody for making the comments that you made tonight. Farad Freelon, I see you. That's the brother Farad, brother Nick, and brother L and brother Malik that's starting the cannabis business down there in Greenwood. I mean in Grenada, Mississippi. So it's more to this conversation, and we'll be able to take care of it later on. But we coming to Greenwood, Mississippi on the move. Is coming to Greenwood, Mississippi, December the 17th to talk to our problems, specifically the Greenwood, Mississippi, and after that, Mississippi on the move will be headed to Greenville, Mississippi, and that brother right there, Malik Haynes, and the brother L that's gonna be conducting that and putting that together. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming on the call. All of y'all, my brothers, and I love you dearly. And if it ain't no more to be said, the parting shots would be uh, peace and power, power and peace to us all. Let's stay united. Let's keep fighting the good fight. Peace and power.
Peace
Peace
and
and,
power.
peace and
Peace and power.
power, brother. Salute.
Salute.